I think I would say that I've always been a very like upbeat person, and I just like to just be and then there were times when I noticed that I wasn't really laughing as much. I didn't want to hang out with my friends. I didn't really want to do anything aside than like my schoolwork. And even then I was like, oh, like this is I don't want to do this. Like fuck my grades kind of thing. So then that's when I started to realize that that really wasn't me, and there was something deeper going on.
I had this huge mental breakdown, and one of my teachers kind of came up and was like, you need to go talk to somebody.
I'd gotten kicked out of my house. I'm 14, and I said, like, fuck it, it's fine. That was better than enduring the abuse. Even when I would try to address things or recognize, like, I knew that I was enduring child abuse in multiple forms, but to have that confidence to talk to a teacher about it or to speak up like everyone says you're supposed to, like, that wasn't there. And as kind of part of the pathway, if you will, of like trying to get me back in the home and having things work out, one of the deals was I had to go to therapy, and I was okay with it.
I would never tell my parents about it because I wouldn't want them to worry. And I feel like once you say like you have depression, it's like all of a sudden like you're done. Like you're like super weak and there's no way to get you out of it. And I feel like when you say you're depressed, it's kind of like people will think, oh, well, like you're just being lazy, or like that's just like your own mentality and that's up to you kind of thing.
I did do counseling in high school, which I kind of like sneaked it around my mom because she had to like sign off for it. So I told her it was for like a field trip or something. But I know when she did finally find out that I was doing counseling, I got a lot of backlash. So, like from my mom and my sisters. So that kind of shook me. So I think coming to college and trying to figure it out, like I was just like, I don't want to do it. Like, if my family was kind of looking at me that way, my bad.
We don't think about these things or discuss these things as a marginalized community. Depression or anxiety, these are rich people problems. We don't have that. We don't have the luxury of addressing that. These negative experiences where I had mostly white therapists, even of the Latinx therapists that I had, they were white, very privileged, very much an experience that did not mirror my own.
Finally did do counseling and my family knew about it. It was a one-on-one counseling thing with this guy named Jimmy, and he was this super tall, blonde, white guy with blue eyes. So we were just completely different culturally. Stuff that I would say, he would just kind of be like, what? Or when he finally did kind of try to catch on, it would just come off weird. I just wasn't comfortable with it.
They pathologized me. They were just like, well, you're depressed. You're acting out. Like, you're at fault here. What do you need to do to change? I'm just like, why are we just ignoring the fact that, like, I've been beaten, I've been sexually abused, I've literally been told, get out of the house if you don't want to put up with this, because this is how it's going to be. And that just wasn't being heard.
So I just kind of left it that way. There was not a lot of online research. And I just dropped it because I just kept thinking Jimmy was going to be at the other end of the counseling. There's not enough POC counselors out there.
I had a lot of trauma and 8 really, really bad therapists that were just not understanding what the realities I was living with. And it was honestly one person that kind of flipped the whole thing on me, and I saw what good therapy could be.
So the process for me to find the counselor that's perfect for me was a very long journey. I think it took me, 3 semesters, if not 4 semesters. It's kind of like, dating, really.
I feel like we do have a lot of resources on campus for mental health. I just feel like a lot of students don't either know that they exist or utilize them to their full extent.
It's hard to navigate, especially when you don't know where to start.
I personally didn't even know we had a school psychiatrist until a year ago, probably, when I tried to see one. But even then, it was kind of really hard to get a hold of them.
One thing that doesn't get talked about often is that the CAPS services, the counseling and psychological services, is actually very much oversaturated, in that typically a university should have about one counselor for every 1,000 students, but here at San Francisco State, as of 2017, if I recall correctly, there's about one counselor for every 3,500 students, so that's 3,500. There's about 8.5 counselors for 30,000 students here at San Francisco State. The 0.5 is like, credibility and training and whatnot. So it's very, very undersaturated. During finals and midterms, it's very hard to get. You usually put on the 2-week wait list for the psychological services, which is very inconvenient for the students. Active Minds, we do a lot of activities about de-stressing, self-care, provide resources on like how to help a friend or how to help reduce anxiety, and just overall just informing and raising awareness about the issues regarding mental health.
Like when I saw the therapy dogs, it was like it wasn't until then that I realized like, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed right now. Like a dog is perfect, So I started like utilizing that and kind of looking up whenever they were available.
As a peer educator, I think we emphasize self-care for our students. We can't really function and do the things that we have to do if we ourselves are not okay.
I've been trying to reconnect with like more indigenous practices and just kind of reconnecting to certain parts of my ancestral past that hasn't been passed down for whatever rich reasons. A lot of it trying to assimilate into American culture, right? Because that's what our parents believe to be, that's what's gonna help us, in which in reality, that's what's destroying us.
Whether it's being in those spaces where it's almost like a reclamation, that is what a lot of people go to heal. And that's really, I think, one of the best tools to take care of yourself, is finding something that really grounds you, a community that understands you where you don't have to explain things, and really just a way to express yourself that in a way that you can be fully vulnerable and not feel any pressure otherwise. But again, access, right? Where do you get this knowledge to even know what to take? There is people doing this work. There's a lot of people kind of addressing these things. One might seem hesitant to that because like, how real is any of this? Like, no, it's real. We've just been taught it's not because Western psychology wants to pump us full of drugs that aren't going to do anything besides like numb emotion. No one's ever gotten better just by taking Zoloft.
So with mental health, I think of it just like maintaining physical health. It's not just it's not just like one once in a lifetime kind of achievement, or it's not just a goal that you have to hit and then you're good after that. I think of it like your physical health, something that you have to work on like a daily, weekly, or a consistent basis.
I think that we forget to compliment ourselves on a daily basis. So that's what I do. I wake up and I tell myself, today you're going to be amazing. And it helped me a lot, actually. I know it sounds very silly to just be out there, looking at yourself in the mirror and be like, you look beautiful today, but it really just that self-positivity helps a lot.
I realized like I have time. I can just take 5 minutes out of my day, 10 minutes out of my day to just calm down, maybe watch a television show or listen to some music, do some of my hobbies, and then I go back to work. So I try to balance it as much of that as I can.
Fuck the stigma. Fuck the stigma, because mental health is real as fuck. And more of us than less of us are affected by this, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, especially our Black and brown youth. Even if they don't want to say it out loud, even if they aren't ready to seek help, they have to acknowledge it within themselves. Like, okay, this and this is going on, this is affecting me. And I acknowledge that this is affecting me. So I think acknowledging it is always the first step, which sounds cliche, but then once that happens, it's kind of like, okay, now I know that there's this stigma, but what can I do to break off that stigma?
I thought it's so silly. I thought that there was something wrong with me if I go to the counselor. Yes, there is something wrong. That's why you're feeling anxiety. That's why you're feeling depression. There is something wrong, and you're not able to fix those things if you're not talking it out to other people.
Feel free to challenge your therapist. Don't be scared to shop around. And that one always throws my clients off when I tell them, like, correct me. They're like, what do you mean? You're supposed to know. I'm just like, I know certain things. I know how to navigate certain things, but I don't know you. You know you.
Mental health, it doesn't just pertain to students with serious mental illnesses, or just, it's not always at the most extreme cases, but that mental health is an everyday aspect of life, and that we all deal with mental health, and we all, to deny that there is mental health is to deny that we have emotion.
If we don't have the answers, coming up together as a community, like, together we're gonna figure this shit out, because it's not easy, and you can't do it by yourself, especially with stuff so sensitive like mental health. I think I would just kind of be like, thanks for coming to me and trusting me. So what do you want to do, and how can I help you move forward?